According to David Minnick, our democracy is in big trouble. The reason? Research suggests that since the 1970s, youth have become increasingly complacent about keeping themselves up with the news. One of Minnick's chosen studies showed that 47% of 23 to 27-year-olds in 1972 read a newspaper every day, compared to the 19% of 23 to 27-year-olds in 2002. It's hard to disagree with evidence. So instead, I'm going to argue that youth effectively inform themselves on social issues using mediums that the traditional news industry has difficulty comprehending and competing with. In 1989, FIS warned that the traditional news media was failing to provide relevance and thus popularity to their audience. I quote, "It would be better for TV news if it confidently asserted that its position in the repertoire of news media is one that makes its popularity its defining characteristic." He talked about macro and micro levels of culture. Macro level culture is that which most in a Western democratic society can relate to. I interpret this as things like the right to free speech, religion, and some social equality. This, he says, is where most news, especially television news, fits in. What it fails to utilise are the subcultures at society's micro level. Fisk explains these thusly. At the most micro level, these subcultures are the oral face-to-face communities among which we move in our daily lives. In order for news to be relevant, it must engage with micro levels, he says. If it lacks these micro connections, it will be watched half-heartedly and will be rapidly forgotten. We should not criticise it, the news, for pandering to entertainment, but rather should evaluate how entertaining it is and what information it makes entertaining. Stephen Harrington provides detail on programs that meet this criteria. Shows like The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, he argues, are becoming an ever more central part of mainstream political discourse. The Daily Show manages to be highly entertaining, yet thoroughly informative. A testimony to its significance is the fact that the President of Pakistan and Bolivia are among the hordes of world leaders that have appeared on the show. Another of Harrington's examples, The Panel, engages with microcultures at the very root of their premise. Harrington said that all the subjects of his study saw the program, which is simply a panel of everyday Australians, as having potential to produce and discuss current affairs, and that it gave them information, or at least perspectives on it. He also said that the main concern with shows like The Panel and The Daily Show are that people may be duped by biased coverage of important issues. Yet, as he goes on to say, rather than presenting polar extremes of an argument, these shows, especially The Panel, create a spectrum of opinion that allows people to identify with the topic under discussion, thereby harnessing the natural democracy of conversation. It is the relevance of these shows, produced by engaging with society's micro levels, that ensure their success. Fisk knew this in 1989, yet for some reason in 2010, traditional news media still hasn't caught on.